Hi, Rich Carrubba. For bowlingball.com, I want to talk to you new bowlers. Beginner bowlers, just learning the game, or maybe getting in your first league, or newcomers to the sport, or maybe people that have bowled socially for a while and getting a little more serious, you want to learn a little bit more about it. Well, when you're ready to choose your first bowling ball, sometimes it's wise to focus on not how much money you spend. You can get a good all-purpose bowling ball to help you get started. The most important thing is to make sure you get a professional to fit, measure your hand, and drill your bowling ball. A proper fit will help you control the ball, develop a consistent release. You'll be more accurate. It'll lead to better scores, and it'll prevent injury. Okay, enough said about that. Let's talk about the difference between plastic bowling balls and urethane bowling balls. Now, the plastic bowling balls came first before urethane. The plastic balls really became very popular, although there were some developed in the 1960s. In the early 1970s is when they came into fruition. The great Don Johnson on the PBA Tour made them very popular around 1970, 1971, and then the whole tour followed. And as the popularity of the tour and the enormous following we had on TV in those days, and I bowled in those years, the whole industry really moved into the plastic ball era, although the rubber balls were successful for a while, as evidenced by the success of the Johnny Petraglia LT48 by Brunswick as example, into the 1970s and even 1980s. Some of the rubber balls still continued, but plastic was more dominant than anything. And the reason is it gave you good skid control and conserved energy for the back end of the lane. And during the 1970s, the plastic balls became a little bit varying in the surface friction they created, because they figured out changing the hardness of the cover could create more or less surface friction accordingly. But anyway, the plastic balls are made of polyurethane materials. Basically, all the polymers used in plastic balls are the same, really, same derivative, same base compounds as used in urethane balls. They're polyester material. The plastic balls react less or least aggressively of all the cover stocks in the medium heavy, and in heavy oil conditions on the front end of the lane. Why? Well, the plastic balls are highly factory polished, finished, and they slide or skid pretty easily on the front end of the lane. Even if you have a hook ball, they'll still hook for you, but you'll see it on the back end of the lane. It's going to slide down the lane further than a urethane ball will. So plastic balls are good when a bowler needs to go straight down the boards, or for spare shooting, perhaps even for extremely dry lane conditions, and even some of the most popular plastic cover stock bowling balls that you see on the market are used by top players in the country. They can be used for shooting spares, dry lanes, all those things that we mentioned. So it's not just for beginners, but it's a good entry-level bowling ball. Plastic balls are popular. They're least expensive of all the bowling balls, and we suggest that you don't shy away from them. However, if you're looking for something a little bit more updated, or something that has a little bit more reaction capability, then regular urethane cover stock bowling balls are excellent choices. They were introduced around 1980 on the PBA Tour, and then of course the popularity of them took off around the country, and they've been around ever since and will always continue to be around. The basic urethane chemical formations are used now in all urethane type bowling balls. It's just that they get a little bit, manufacturers get a little bit more high tech in what they do, the additives and the processes they use to make some of the more highly reactive and high technology bowling balls. But essentially, entry-level urethane balls are very effective as well. They create a little bit greater angle of entry into the pocket, and they cover more boards on a given lane condition than actually does a plastic bowling ball. The urethane is a base material. It's used again as in other classifications of aggressive cover stocks, such as reactive resin and hybrid and particles and all that. But what the industry generally refers to as urethane bowling balls are the entry-level bowling balls, and they provide a controllable skid distance on the front end of the lane, a nice smooth arc if you have a hook ball delivery, and even if you throw the ball straight, they're very good because they create a little bit more friction or traction on the front end of the lane when you're rolling the ball in oil. And the oil is always applied to the front part of the lane to preserve the surface from all the bowling balls hitting it. So if you're a new bowler in the game, the oil only goes down in heavy concentration about a third of the way down the lane, and the next third of the way it's a lighter application of oil, and then finally very dry on the back ends. The urethane ball will give you enough traction and can create a little bit more hook potential rating for you than will a plastic ball. And overall, the urethane cover stock will transfer a little bit more or greater amount of energy into the pins than will a plastic ball cover stock. So if you're learning how to throw a hook ball release, you might consider one of each. If you bowl on dry lanes, get a plastic ball, maybe a urethane ball. If you can only afford one, either way is a good pick. You might want to consult with the pro shop, have them watch you bowl, the pro shop operator, or maybe your own coach. They'll help you pick just the right entry-level plastic or urethane ball. Make sure it fits you properly. If you want to check a little bit more information about it, you can check our perfect scale rating feature right here at bowlingball.com. Right on our front page, click on it. It'll give you information on balls that match the various lane conditions. And we think that the bowling entry-level plastic or urethane bowling balls both will serve you very well. So we wish you all the best of luck. Good bowling to you as well.